So I was given a Suzuki gt550 as a part exchange. The chap who part exchanged it valued it at 2,500. I think, unfortunately, I think more realistic, if you knock the zero off, that would be nearer to its true value. Virtually everything on the bike is in extremely poor condition or missing. This is one of the headlight mounts, and as you can see, it's quite critically damaged. So what I'm going to try and do, I think there might be a fracture there, we'll see. What I'm going to try and do is to straighten it. The metal is plastic deformed. Okay, so that means that if I just try and, if I put it in a vice and pushed it, you'd end up with a ripple. Okay, so we've got to somehow soften the metal by, not somehow, we're going to heat the metal first of all, and then we're going to give it a whack and see if we can't get that out and slowly get this straight again. Sometimes you have to be careful with when you're going to straighten some of these parts, because there are, especially on exhaust, there are indentations which are supposed to be there, and sometimes they catch it out, so it's definitely worth just checking. I did have a quick look to make sure that this wasn't supposed to be like this, and I'm pretty sure it's not. So let's go ahead. So this is my oxy-acetylene set. They're not particularly cheap, but they're not expensive. They're cheap enough for an amateur such as myself to buy, that's for sure. So important parts: the acetylene, oxygen cylinder, pressure regulator valve on the oxygen cylinder. So basically what you do is to start it, open up your acetylene, light the acetylene, then crank on your oxygen until you get the flame that you need. Important safety features is the flashback arrestor, this thing here. So what that's for is that if you have unburned gases coming back, they won't get into your oxygen cylinder. If they do, you're not going to have a good day. The other thing you can do if you're particularly nervous about using these type of systems is have a bucket of water nearby. A bucket of water is not to put this in. A bucket of water is to put this in, because if you do get a flashback, you can have burning going on in here, and that's the easiest way, is just to dunk it in the water, and then you can just carry straight on again. Then it's, that will you'll typically get that if you go a little bit too close with the nozzle, and it just pushes the flame into this piece here. So safety equipment is the goggles. These sets do actually come with a set of goggles, which are okay, absolutely fine to use. These ones, I think they cost less than £10 anyway. So they've got the coloured, and also you can lift up, and they've got clear, so you can grind as well. And you can grind because they do completely enclose your eyes, which is really important if you're grinding. If you wear glasses like these are really dangerous for grinding, because grit can get in between here. If you're going to use, the least you should use is this set. The other thing as well, what I'd point out is if you are grinding, it's a really common injury to have grinding dust on your hands. So when you come to remove the goggles, the grinder dust comes off your hands and goes into your eyes. Unfortunately, that's not an uncommon one. So that's why I wear gloves. Once I finish grinding, gloves off, and then I take the goggles off. So, well ventilated room, obviously. This room here also has a fire detector, so I will leave it on. So to get it lit is open up the acetylene valve. Just let a little bit of acetylene come out so you can light it, and then just open up your oxygen valve. Right, so you typically will open this until you see this got smoke. You want that smoke to go, but you don't really want the flame to leave the tip. So it's a bit of messing about. And then open up your oxygen. I'll just see there's a leak there. the flame you want. So you can see the lightly coloured inner part. Yeah, I'll shut it down. Oxygen off first, then acetylene, and then you blow the last acetylene out just by opening up the oxygen again. So yeah, so you'll be able to hear me now. The flame that you want is a nice cone shape. You have an inner cone, right, which is more brightly coloured. You want that to be a single colour. Or the high temperature, you want what we saw there, which is a single cone. Now the highest point in the whole flame is just on the tip of that inner, not inside it. So don't get that close that goes in. You go into that yellow cone. You just want to be on the end of it. So normally I'd do metalwork and using my sandbag. Obviously we can't do that because it's going to be too hot. Set fire to it. So what we're going to use is my metal repair. Just need to make sure that those faces are okay. You can see that one's got lots of indentation. We'll give them something a good whack with that one. So I'll probably just repair these faces before I use them on that. And not so bad. Right. So I'll do a little bit, and then I can't, you know, show the whole lot because I can't. It's not safe, right? But I'll just show a little bit of this, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. So we're getting there, straighter already. I think if I take this out, then that'll help a lot. So if we take that out, I am wearing plastic gloves. I'm aware of that. You should really have you know, heat resistant gloves, but I am well away from where the heat is. Better. Right, I'm going to work on this. It's going to take me probably about 10-15 minutes, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. Right, so that's it, which is good timing because the wife just brought me a cup of coffee. So it's not bad. Not perfect. I mean, that's the other side, which is good. If you see this, I think most of the curves are there. There are some asperities just from where my googly eyes meant I haven't struck it cleanly. So all you do with that is just a light sanding, just to take the asperities off before it goes for chroming. And that's it.